Let's go.
Peace. This is the enemy's public, and I am Bro.Nasir. This evening's discussion is non-white supremacist. What is white supremacy? Who are white supremacists? What are the bases of white supremacy? Anti-blackness. Well, it's not that white people are superior by any stretch of imagination, yet it is a mindset, a social construct, a social behavior of such people. Just getting this out the way for some of my people who would say that nobody's superior to them, and you're absolutely correct. Yet it doesn't stop them from thinking that way, for no reason. They are superior in no sense of stretch of imagination. Are they superior to us? Yet it is a mindset, and they're not the only people who share that mindset. Some of our people and others share that mindset. When we, experience mishaps, abuse, or what have you from this wicked and evil enemy, or the way of life that some of our people think that is good, as far as wanting what others have and wanting to live a certain lifestyle that other people live. We have to understand that everything that you can go to prison for in this country was done to establish this country. You name it. If you can go to prison for it, this country was established with that. Now, before I get into the subject matter, meaning the examples that I'm going to show of non-white, white supremacists, I am going to play some music. Let me share my screen real quick. I'm going to play some music, and then we'll get into the subject matter. Of course, I'm going to start off with the nephew, Tahas the Genius, the freestyle. And again, Tahas the Genius has some new material coming. Can't wait to get it. Can't wait to premiere it, but it's coming soon.
Yeah. Genius. Look. Nigga with attitude is back. Swag on 100 with an attitude to match. Heavy verse at funeral. Eulogy of raps. Got niggas like damn, it's sad the way he had to do the track. Look. It's everything I touch, I tend to body. Shout out to the young G's coming up behind me. The young me did a bid, paid his debt to society. Bunch of niggas fled, but a couple stay beside me. And my niggas still clutching in that lobby. Hustling in pack while they puffing on that lolly. Muscle in the back if you suckers wanna try me. Cause I done seen the scrap turn into a fucking homie. And I know his hitters still trying to line me. So I guess I gotta melt niggas like pastrami. When I drop, they gon' shelf niggas, that's on mommies. Flex hit his verse, I guarantee he gon' bomb me. Cause they never seen a flow like this, like jail food. Bet you I'ma blow up quick. I'ma keep shooting even if I throw up bricks. Cause eventually it's gonna be a show enough switch. I'm a G and I ain't never had to throw up shit. Where I'm from, my young boys gotta grow up quick. Got the game on lock since I sold up zips. Just no tie gon' shine like a glow up stick. Damn. But first I gotta tie up all these loose ends. Hard times showed me all my true friends. I've been seeing life through a new lens. Just know my motivation is a new Benz. I told her she can hang, but that dude pins. I'm rolling with the gang, bring some cute friends. But don't you get no funny ideas, cause my cousin Samir always walk around with two twins. I call them shits T and Tamara. Empty the whole clip, that's freeing up the barrel. Dinners with gold tips, I'm fleeing my apparel to get rich as a road trip, that's even if it's narrow. but I'm gon' ride till the wheels fall. These niggas ain't thorough, they just feel hard. Me, I call the shots like a drill sergeant. The plug got locked, but I'm still charged. Quarterback in the pack, I'm Cam Newton. Singing, I happen to rack, my swag stupid. I've been doing this since I was a kid hooping. When you got it for this long, you can't lose it. When you got a team this strong, niggas try to steal my style, but can't boost it. I'm just trying to fill my pile, advance to it. It's just paper, Prezi, and time, my clan too lit. My clan too lit. Just paper, Prezi, and time, my clan too lit. Pixar, baby. Let's go. Look, and I don't give a damn if they shoot, cause they don't wanna see me when I start the plane in my group. These snakes creeping through my garden trying to land on my stoop, but the grass cut, guess you could say it's animal poop. While y'all was out getting high, mixing cram with the goose, I was serving this 85, mixing clam in the soup. I've been hanging in the trenches, I'm the man in the noose. If you a soldier, then why the fuck you abandon your troops? Niggas claiming they the realest while I judge them by their dealings. It's been a little minute, but you fucking with the illest. The upside is crazy, you can play the villain. If I loosen up this tie, I'll be busting out the ceiling. But they don't even get it, shit went over their head. I'm feeling like a killer, plus I'm close to the edge. If you don't wanna be the reason why they toasting the dead, let me eat, cause I'm the nigga that's supposed to get fed. When I still had a couple left, niggas still double checked and watch a nigga date just to see if they in trouble yet. Been away for 8 and niggas still ain't start the bubble yet. Guess they in the way, my city waiting on another vet. And so I don't mind being a savior. First I got some niggas to find, that's on my way up. My mother told me leave them alone cause they ain't worth it. But I told her, Mom, my mind already made up. These niggas gotta feel it, yeah, I'm talking about my rap. Cause they been in my way like they was walking in my path. I hear these niggas talking about they talking out they ass. When niggas talking about tie, that shit resulting in the blast. When I get off my shit, my niggas gotta love it. My city been going in and I'm a product of it. And after this, I better be the topic of discussion. Cause truth is you ain't gonna find out how to subject. I need that type of paper that the scholars touching. That type of daughter when you get it, you ain't got a budget. I need that type of paper that the scholars touching. That type of daughter when you get it, you ain't got a budget. Has it?
Okay. That's Taha's the Genius freestyle. Now we're gonna go to Waste My Time. Taha's the Genius.
I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna wait. Don't ask me to stay. Let's do what lovers do. Yeah. I don't wanna wait. Just don't ask me to stay. That's not what lovers do. I'm ready for you. I don't wanna wait. I just wanna be safe. Let's do what lovers do. I'm waiting for you. I don't wanna wait. I just wanna be safe.
Power to my brother.
Let's do what lovers do. Genius. FCLMG, baby. Y'all came to talk my shit. You might not like what I gotta say, but fuck it. Either we fucking or we ain't. Time to keep it frank. The way a nigga feeling, I can't cut her with no saint. Got me in my feelings cause she fucking up a rank. And I was riding every time when there was nothing in my tank. I even risked my freedom, it was bundles in the safe. When every trip for a couple hundred was coming with a tray. Can't say I wasn't on my job when something in your way. But anytime I cried the river, all my puddles went to waste. Get the fuck up out my face. Google the word embrace. Don't think of coming back until you tangle with your fate. Just procrastinating ass, by then it'll be too late. You know my body, girl. I probably be done finished what I ate. And I never needed shit when I was sentenced to my date. You the type of person that could turn a minute to a break. And I told her with the next, just go and give it to him straight. But she told him he was it and sent that nigga on the chase. It couldn't be me. I be alive, I say that I never dived in. Had a couple moments to try and see what them vibes went. Gotta respect when she said she couldn't be an option. Cause I was feeling good at the time, but I wasn't locked in. Plus I'm popping, and all this work I've been concocting got my hustle brolic. Sometimes I sit in the whip and I just puff in silence. Replaying combos with my sister about my mother's logic. But that's another topic, fuck that fly shit. I be the pilot if I'm alone in the cockpit. Cause I don't trust the fact that these bitches gon' trust the process. And I don't trust the act, plus a nigga hates surprises. And I'm always 10 toes, I know some people despise us. I heard it from a wise man, he said they gon' try to hide it. The truth is always under the same surface, the lies is. I'm dropping off deposits, ain't no time for being modest. She told me my time is now, I said I'd rather be timeless, bitch. I don't wanna wait. I can't wait around. Just don't ask me to stay. Don't ask me to. That's not what lovers do. I'm ready love for do that you. Shit. I don't wanna wait. Yeah. I just wanna be safe. Let's do what love do. I'm waiting for you. I told you I'm gonna be good regardless, baby. I don't wanna wait. It's your boy Ty. Just don't ask me to stay. That's not what love would do. I'm ready for you. I don't wanna wait. I just wanna be safe. Let's do what love would do. Even if you ask me to leave, even if you ask me to leave, I'll probably stay. Hey. Even if you ask me to leave, I'll probably stay. I hope that's okay. Yeah. Cause even if you ask me to leave, I'll probably stay. I hope that's okay. 100K life.
We're gonna go to Brill, Bad Dreams, featuring Monstar and Jay Smalls. Peace to my brother, my good brother Voodoo Child.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm seeing these visions, stacking these 50s, these hundreds. You feel me, my nigga? I fuck with gorillas. Fingers is itching and hands on the trigger. You ain't fucking with them, ain't fucking with us. I said we gon' get them. My head is not missing, have them bouncing like Tigger. You know you don't want war, this is not what you came for. No, you ain't fucking with the young boy, that shit's unheard of. Keep a red beam on this thing, I look like a hero. I'll be knocking at your front door, this ain't a game, make a run for. About to take flight. Sipping this purple, I'm writing, I'm leaning, I'm high, you not fucking with I. Make it look easy, way I'm so greasy, believe it, you know I'm gon' ride. Know I'm gon' ride. With that shit on my side, make the beast come alive. Send them goons to your vibe. Want you dead or alive. No ferry, my nigga. I swear on my niggas, I bury a nigga. Go carry a nigga. But I'm a bit iller, bitch. Welcome to Thriller. Yes, we are them demons. Ride around with the heater. I keep it, believe it. I keep it, believe it. Like Ripley's, you see it. They hit you, you blink it. Brain losing screws, I can't pick up the pieces. But Lord, I'm so nice that I leave myself speechless. You know you don't want war. This is not what you
Peace to my brother, brother Kyrie, of the enemy's public. The true daughter of darkness. Thanks for tapping in.
I'll be knocking at your front door. This ain't a game, make a run for.
Money coming in and they hating on me, but that's okay, gotta get it in. Everywhere that I go, niggas knows we MC. That's okay, gotta get it in, man. You know that I hustle, man, I'm trying to get a million. And you know that I play to win. All my niggas riding with me, and you know they make a killing. Let them know that we play to win. My youngest is riding, you know how that go. Life is a blessing, and I'm set to go. Stuck in the struggle, I gotta get go. Stuck in the struggle, I gotta get go. Check on your niggas and look in their eyes. None of they riding, they feeding you lies. They using your name and your ties to get by. Ain't no G-Mac, and we gotta provide.
You know you don't want war. This is not what you came for. No, you ain't fucking with the young boy. That shit's unheard of. Keep a red beam on this thing. I look like a hero. I'll be knocking at your front door. This ain't a game, make a run for.
Fluid thinking and I broke. Stupid leaning, lucid dreaming. I was sleeping like a Luther King and then I woke with codeine all in my dope. Chopped and screwed, treating music demons like a human being. Friend of ghosts. I don't see no hater player. Please do me no favor, player. Hater gamer in the game, grinding, say a prayer for him. On him in the morning, nothing for him but a J up in the air with no care. Right after I fuck they day up in air. Unprepared, not me be on P's and Q's. Mine on turbo in my circle. You will never see a Q. Me no fool, me accused of some fuck shit. Fuck this, I fuck shit up and leave a pool of blood and guts quick. Need to do to keep it school and see your moves erupting. A twinkle of an eye, you see evil in eye when I rebuttal these rhymes for those who go through troubling times, for those who don't confide, suffer and die inside.
You know you don't want war, this is not what you came for. No, you ain't fucking with the young boy, that shit's unheard of. Keep a red beam on this thing, I look like a hero. I'll be knocking at your front door, this ain't a game, make a run for.
That was Brill, Bad Dreams featuring Monstar and Jay Smalls. Do some promotion real quick, take a promotion break.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
The once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
Now we're going to go to Dre Cobb's Boom Shot. Let's go. Salute to my brother, Ron Snap.
Where do you run to when there's nowhere left to hide? Where do you run to when there's nowhere left to hide? Where do you run to when there's nowhere left to hide?
Yeah. Where do you run when there's nowhere to hide? I'm feeling like Pop. I'm having ambitions to ride. You draw the line between the truth and the lies. I can see the hurt just by the look in their eyes. Yeah, can you feel me? You know I bring that high energy. I change me into a better me. Yeah, I had some stars that was tapped into my memory. Giving you that real cause I know you gon' remember me. Loyal to the soil cause you know I'm aboriginal. Picture me rolling through Chicago. Thinking about some friends that I lost to some hollows. Thinking about time cause I know it's all borrowed. Yeah, wishing the world peace and blessings from the ancestors. We get the message and I ain't wasting a second. Learning every day and I ain't wasting a lesson. Put this in the essence. Can you feel my presence?
Could it be between the truth and lies? What does it do for you? Hope you're better now. I'll be better soon. Hope you're better soon. I'll be better now. Cause I'm crying, falling, tripping, shaping up what I can understand. Can you feel my presence? Can you feel it inside? Could it be between belief and what's begotten from the truth? When it hurts, how do you find relief in alternative view? Where do you run to when there's nowhere left breath too high. Can you feel my presence? Can you feel inside? Could it be between the truth and lie? What does it do for you? Hope you're better now. I'll be better soon. Hope you're better soon. Am I better now?
How in the fuck is you hustling with these grams, man? I know it's all cap. All on my face with the fake smile, yeah, you can't get no dab. I got niggas that are shooters, all in your head like a nap. Hop on the scene with them 2, 2, 3s and edit the job. No games, man, yeah, I got no time for this shit. I be the one to blame, so please don't you make me click. Hit the block like a march, yeah, it's like a parade. Drum sound and you ducking and hiding, oh, better cover your face.
Hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far, 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 way too far. Niggas still killing niggas. Pay your partner to hit ya. Hoes still fucking with niggas, never raising their children. Cluckers still paying deals. Trying to catch them a feeling. I know a bunch of people who ain't never gonna have them. Pants way up their leg, crazy colors in their head. Mumbling, rapping shit. Make a nigga say what he said. I know you think I'm tripping. This boy going fed, but I'm just telling you some of the things bouncing in my head. Hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far, 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 way too far. Man, y'all got an old nigga singing and sweating in the booth trying to get this shit heard. Way too far. Bump your brakes, partner.
Yeah, hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dress funny, driving fancy cars. It's nothing like it used to be, nothing consistent with the culture. Other people have come into our culture and telling us what's hot, telling us that our mixes are not good enough. And when they get checked, they want to, become the victim. They want to act like they're a victim. And they want to empower themselves against you and use their whiteness and possibly call your job and get you in trouble with your job and affect your livelihood. And when you call them, a racist, they get mad when you call them a racist while they're in the act of being a racist. Something that we don't have the power to do. We cannot change the dynamic of a people. We can't weaponize the police. We don't have the power to do that. Yet some of us, our people and others, share the same sentiment as our open and consistent enemy. White supremacy is a mindset. It's not that anyone is superior over anyone. It's just a mindset, a social construct, and a social behavior of such people. And some of our people and other peoples who are non-white agree. We have some people that think that our enemy's knee belongs on our neck. That's what their knee was made for, to put on our necks. And let me tell you, it's it's payable. Some of our people get paid to do those things. To wanna be honorary white supremacist. That's what I call them. Wannabe honorary white supremacists, and some of our people are willing to do that for a little or nothing, to sell a whole nation of people out for trinkets, especially, in the Hispanic community. I'm going to give a few examples of non-white white supremacists. Let me share my screen once again.
In just 7 days since the horrific mass shooting at an Allen, Texas outlet mall. While that community remains in mourning, authorities are in the process of nailing down the shooter's motive. The New York Times reports investigators trying to learn why a gunman murdered at least 8 innocent people, including children, at a Texas mall, are examining a social media profile rife with hate-filled rants against women and Black people, and they believe those belonged to the gunman. The shooter's profile also includes language praising Hitler, with references to neo-Nazi websites like the Daily Stormer. The shooter's Hispanic heritage would include him in the growing number of non-white extremists pushing a white supremacist ideology. Joining me now is Christopher Goldsmith, intelligence, extremism, and disinformation analyst and the CEO of Task Force Butler. Chris, it's always so good to have you on the show. Sadly, though, it's usually around some type of mass shooting or some type of tragic event. But I think your voice is important for our viewers to really get some knowledge as to what's going on. You've infiltrated some far-right extremist groups yourself. You know their thought process and trying to lure in more people to spout off their disgusting rhetoric. There is a misconception that all white nationalists have to be white. But let's look at Hispanic white nationalists like Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio and online political activist Nick Fuentes. What have you seen in regards to non-white people becoming advocates for white supremacist ideas?
Thanks so much for having me, Katie, on. It's having me on, Katie. It's great to be back. The Latino identity, the Hispanic identity, the Latinx identity is incredibly complex. It is not exclusively a race. It is not exclusively an ethnicity.
Pardon the technical difficulty. A lot of people, when they come to the United States, searching for the American dream, they're coming to the United States to become white. The American dream is white. White is a social construct. White is a status. When people go to the census and the statistics, a lot of people will say that they're white. Hispanics, even Africans would say that they are white when they go and they sign the papers as their status. So this the mindset that people that come here have. They turn their nose up at us because they're not coming here to join our rank and file, and they're not allowed to come here to join our rank and file. They're coming here to undermine us, and they're allowed to come here to undermine us. This is what Joe Biden told the Congressional Black Caucus, that we're going to have to deal with the Hispanics coming to the United States.
Ethnicity. It creates a lot of room for extremist views like white supremacy. One of the phenomena that we've seen over especially recent years is misinformation, disinformation, and radical narratives being pushed into Spanish-speaking communities. Now, this is something that can have effects far down the street. Now, this particular guy, this disgusting shooter in Texas, he's someone who acknowledged his Latino identity, and he expressed on his social media displeasure at not being traditionally considered white by his peers. But he's someone who embraced extremism because he was basically a loser. That was his way to find a sense of community.
Just understand that Spanish is a European language, just to let everyone know. I know everybody on here, I'm probably more than likely preaching or speaking to the choir, but Spanish is not, their original language either.
Community. That was his way of finding purpose. And now that type of extremism is being promoted by folks like Enrique Tarrio, like you mentioned, like Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes only became famous because he participated in the neo-Nazi Charlottesville riot and then dropped out of school because he was too much of a coward to face his classmates back in Boston. That's the only reason anyone knows his name. It's the only reason that he was able to create a platform. Now he makes money from racists around the country, actually around the world, who've found him to be a useful idiot for white supremacy.
Chris, the misinformation, you just mentioned it, it plays a major rise and a major role in that rise of white nationalism. According to a Nielsen report, Latino audiences are more likely to receive, consume, and share fake news and misinformation online compared to the general population. And in fact, the Daily Stormer, which the shooter in Allen, Texas, he was an avid consumer of that website. They actually launched a Spanish language version of that neo-Nazi website in 2017. Do you find that there is a direct correlation between the consumption of misinformation and white supremacy?
I used to be a misinformation and disinformation analyst. That's what I came from. I used to work for Vietnam Veterans American. What made me an investigator of any kind was back.
Oftentimes when people say that something is misinformation, they only mean that it's the information that they're not given. Or it can be the missed information that you don't have and that you found that is contrary to what they're telling us. When somebody says someone is misinformed, doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong. It's just that they're gone contrary to what everybody else is putting out as far as information. Because it's been times my channel was suspended for misinformation when I was telling the truth.
Back in 2017, I found a fake version of my employer online on Facebook that had 500,000 followers. Long story short, that ended up being a Russian intelligence operation. I published what's called the Troll Report back in 2019. I moved away from studying Russian trolls and into domestic extremism because I think the threat that misinformation and disinformation poses, while severe, is not as immediate as the extremism that it has caused. Now, when it comes to targeting the veterans community, the Hispanic community, the Black community, these foreign actors and domestic actors recognize that these identities that are core to who we are in our human psychology can be leveraged to turn us against others. Doesn't matter who you are. If someone is trying to manipulate you, they are going to target who you consider yourself to be, what your values are. They will try and shift those values and then present enemies, the other, as someone to be attacked, someone to be blamed. I mean, look at Tucker Carlson, right? That is his entire shtick. That's why he became the most popular host on Fox News before he was recently fired. It is people like that who focus on these identities and dividing people that become powerful thanks to these algorithms, right? It is the Facebook, the Twitter algorithms, all of these alternative social media platforms, they reward outrage.
Now they're saying anybody can be a white supremacist, and there's a rise of white supremacists. And a lot of people are embracing it, especially the rise of white nationalist Hispanics.
You're watching the Isaiah Factor, uncensored.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, and thanks for joining us for our second half hour tonight. Investigators are still searching for a motive in the deadly shooting at an outlet mall in Allen, Texas this weekend. 8 people killed there. While investigators look for answers, dark new information about the alleged gunman, 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, show his full hateful views, according to investigators. Authorities have found a diary of his where Garcia wrote about being devoted to the Aryan race and hating Hispanic women despite being Hispanic himself. Posts also show him with large Nazi tattoos. My next guests say this case highlights how some of Mexican descent have become radicalized and hateful towards their own race and people of their own color in general. They are the rise of the white nationalist Hispanics.
This is not exclusive to Hispanics also. We have our people who believe in the same ideology and have the same self-hate.
So I brought you guys here on The Factor Uncensored to talk about this. And Tony, you and I have talked. This is nothing new.
No, exactly. And I will point this out. So I have a book called The Tip of the Pyramid, Cultivating Community Cultural Capital. And to kind of set a context, let's get a few things straight that our communities already know. White is the default setting for culture in America. And every day we sign user agreements to that effect. Now, we're in a state too where we don't want, well, legislators don't want us to talk about critical race theory, race, or history. So this is all swept under the rug until this erupts. And I should point out that if we talk about colonization, the Spanish conquistadors were basically white Europeans who came to these new lands and felt they were supreme enough to subjugate an entire people. And I don't want to get too far into a history course. I'll close with this part for now. They basically imposed a caste system. And that caste system was to define how they were better than everyone else, and that was based on color. So the whiter you were, the higher you were in that in that hierarchy. And people at the lower spectrums, they fought to stay up. Why? Because that meant that would limit who they could marry, what they could own, or if they were owned. And America knows something about that too.
And Monica, how does this have a long-lasting impact on individuals like Mauricio Garcia, who's accused of this mass shooting, where he has been tied to what they consider the right-wing death squad or white supremacists? How does that affect a young Hispanic male? How does he get involved with that, what we know from history?
Well, like Tony was mentioning, part of that was the doctrine of discovery and manifest destiny, which they pretty much said, because we are the rightful people, we deserve this land, we deserve to take over and colonize this whole land, as well as the people. And part of that, as we can see with this person, I think that they in themselves have internalized that and has been put in a position where now they feel like they can take over and everyone else is below them.
And sister, let's bring you into this conversation too. Is there some self-hatred there as well?
I mean, not only is there self-hatred, but there's also a want to assimilate and a want to belong somewhere. So we see it in cases like this person or other people that because they are so oppressed, they rather leave whatever themselves or their culture that they want and try to join these other groups. And it's important to point out that anybody can be a white supremacist. I've been hearing a lot of online chatter, and they're saying, well, he was Hispanic, there's no way he can be a white supremacist. But you can be a white supremacist in ideology. And we have people like Senator Ted Cruz, we have people like Chingo Bling, who are so they're so self-hatred on themselves that they
White supremacist is nothing but an ideology, nothing but a social construct and a social behavior among such people. Even if, they're not white, it's still white supremacist if they share that ideology.
that they want to occupy a space or want to beg for a space in other spaces.
And of course, Tony, you and I talked about the head of the Proud Boys, who is a Hispanic as well.
And I think we're touching on something here where, for example, there's not an official definition of what it means to be Latino. So if you look at the census, it's just kind of stretched the term out. And I'm not advocating that there should be one, but there's also not a definition for white. And what happens then is, if you control power and you've got certain privileges that's been handed down to you because maybe you own slaves, maybe you own land.
Kaiko, I don't know who you are, but you are on point. Vivek Ramaswamy is a white supremacist, wannabe white supremacist, wannabe honorary white supremacist, and so is Ted Cruz. You're on point.
Land forever, you happen to be a certain pigment, you don't have to argue who you are. By default, you run everything. On the other hand, we who are disenfranchised, we have to fight to define ourselves and to work our space out. I bring all that up because here's the irony of people like these supremacists who are in the Proud Boys. And again, my heart goes out to all the people who suffered because of the rage of these men. They felt disenfranchised. They felt powerless. They didn't want to take the blame for that. They felt they were entitled to it because they thought they were superior to others, and they looked at who they could blame. And here's the irony, Isaiah. People who are powerless and feel like that, they can't get to the people in power. All they can do is hurt everyone else like them in the same situation, and it goes back to the self-hate. They're really hurting people that looks just like him. That's why people are confused.
We'll continue this conversation here on The Factor tomorrow night with part 2 of our discussion.
We're going to go to someone whose content resonates with me a whole lot. This brother's work has been unparalleled and unmatched with how he do his content and how he present his content. Professor Black Truth. This brother is sharp.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. People are shocked to find out that the neo-Nazi who just carried out a mass murder in Texas was a Latino, and not some light, bright, almost white Shakira type, but a brown-skinned mestizo. And he'd been online posting pictures of himself with Nazi tattoos. He would frequently make racist posts referencing the white supremacist sewer 4chan and other Latino white supremacists like Nick Fuentes. This guy posted his videos freely on YouTube, and you'll notice that YouTube didn't do anything about this guy until after he committed a mass murder. Meanwhile, they attack the black media. Channels like this are constantly having their videos struck or having their accounts terminated. People who don't advocate hate or violence, but their accounts get attacked simply because they point out that we're being mistreated and who's doing it. YouTube has been a willing haven and breeding ground for these white supremacist killers to spread their violence. But so is the white media. And they're shocked, I tell you. They simply can't comprehend that a brown-skinned Latino would align himself with white supremacists, the very people who say that people like him need to be kept out. You have white media figures on CNN, MSNBC, all the major channels, and including the agenda-setting white media like the New York Times and the Washington Post and such. They're all on the same talking point, saying that to have a Latino as a neo-Nazi is something that's unprecedented. This has never happened before. But is that true? Now, obviously, Mauricio Garcia doesn't represent the entire Latino community, obviously, but it's false to say that he was just some one-of-a-kind anomaly. He's not. And there's plenty of precedent for this. The black community has been saying that this has been an issue for decades now, but we were ignored by the very white media who today is speechless. In a nutshell, there's cognitive dissonance going on here on a major level. Many Latinos, not all, but enough, see themselves primarily in terms of their national origin, Mexican, Guatemalan, Honduran, etc. So when people talk about building walls and mass deportations, for a lot of Latinos, they look and say, well, they're not talking about us, they're talking about those Latinos over there. The US classifies them as minorities or people of color. But as the New York Times had to report, Latinos choose to identify as white. But how do you do that in a society that says you're not white? As many as are able identify themselves as white on school applications, employment applications, and driver's licenses. This is something the white media has completely refused to even discuss, but all they did was to allow the problem to grow until now something has happened that can't be ignored. As we, the black media, have reported to you for years now, for the longest time, the leaders of some of the most virulently white supremacist groups have been Latinos. For example, Stuart Rhodes, founder and leader of the Oath Keepers. His mother is a mestizo Mexican. Enrique Tarrio, leader of the Proud Boys, who was so eager to prove that he was a white supremacist, he targeted a historically black church in D.C., tearing down their Black Lives Matter banner right outside of the church, and then burned it and took photos of himself because he wanted everyone to see this is how much contempt he had for black people. That was an act of domestic terrorism that he committed, but the white authorities decided that it would just be sloughed off as destruction of property. And of course, you can't forget about Nick Fuentes, one of the most outspoken and obnoxious online racist and anti-Semites out there. These guys make it a point to go to insane, cartoonishly stupid lengths to prove their devotion to white supremacy, doing things that the white racists themselves don't do. It would be funny if it wasn't for the fact that they're hurting people and in some cases getting people killed. The white media is shocked that this Latino neo-Nazi was a regular visitor to 4chan. But if you follow the black media, then you already know I've regularly reminded you about the 4chan terrorist who attacked a Black Lives Matter rally in Minneapolis. One of the terrorists who planned the attack was a Latino. In fact, he's the one you see holding the gun. His name is Julio Suarez. On 4chan, he went by the screen name Saiga Marine. Suarez was the one who ended that terrorist threat video by saying, "Stay white." Earlier this year, you had Solomon Pena, the New Mexico terrorist and felon who went around shooting up the homes and offices of 5 Democratic Party politicians. He espoused all kinds of far-right rhetoric, and he was a contributor to LaRouche PAC, founded by the notorious anti-Black racist Lyndon LaRouche. But the problem isn't just limited to Latino racists on the right. Another example is Alexandria Cortez. When she was first running for Congress, she gave a now infamous interview on MSNBC where she boldly renounced any and all other ancestry she had, particularly Black. She wanted to make sure she got that out first. She renounced everything except for her white ancestry.
My identity is the descendant of many different identities. I am the descendant of African slaves. I am a descendant of indigenous peoples. I'm a descendant of Spanish colonizers. I am a descendant of all sorts of folks. That doesn't mean I'm Black. That doesn't mean I'm, Native, but it does mean that I can use that as I can tell the story of my ancestors. That doesn't mean that I am that.
She talks out of both sides of her mouth. In the same breath, she admits that she has African ancestry and then immediately says that doesn't make her Black. She said she's a descendant of Spanish colonizers, but you notice she didn't dare say, "But that doesn't make me Spanish."
Exactly.
She renounced her African and Indian ancestry, so why not the Spanish part too? After all, she's a mix of things, as she said, right? Except she wasn't about to renounce the Spanish ancestry. She considers herself to be a white woman. Nobody else does, but she would still like to be seen as that. This is the problem with so-called intersectionalism. When these individuals talk about their ethnicity, they deny being Black immediately, even though that Black ancestry is the very first thing people notice when they look at them. But none of them decides, well, when it comes to white, I got to go ahead and say I ain't white either. Instead, they say, well, I'm all of those things. But when you ask them for specifics, they immediately say, but I'm not Black. Don't say I'm Black. And more recently, the racist Latino LA council members who were calling a Black toddler a monkey and planning how they were going to lock Black Angelinos out of any and all arenas in the city. They were happily sitting in a room planning with each other how they were going to be running the city along racial lines, specifically for the express purpose of locking Black people out. Especially that Nuri Martinez witch. She made it very clear Black people are her enemy, not because Black people did anything to her, but just because Black people are Black. But they didn't stop there, of course. They also disparaged other Latinos, particularly the Osakans, because their skin is darker than the racist Latinos who were on the LA City Council. So the leaders of the most important Hispanic enclave in the United States were acting and talking like every other white supremacist you've ever seen. And these weren't Republicans or right-wingers doing this. These were Latinos on the left. Anti-Black racism is a bipartisan issue. And this isn't new at all. You can go all the way back to Felix Tijerina, who was the president of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. At the height of Jim Crow, somebody proposed that LULAC ally itself with the NAACP. Tijerina's response? Let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. Now, whenever Latinos are trying to get something, or whenever some white supremacist harms one of them, the very first thing we hear is, we're all in this together, Black-Brown Alliance. And then Black people wonder why the Black-Brown Alliance never seems to materialize. And in the cases of Tarrio, Rhodes, Suarez, the LA City Council members, Tijerina, and even Alexandria Cortez, they all identify themselves as white, even though the society doesn't. These are just a few examples from the last few years alone. The only legitimate confusion comes in that many Latinos claim to simultaneously be a minority when it suits them, and then mark themselves as white on all their documentation. So we have individuals who identify simultaneously as minority and white. That's the issue. Okay, but how does this link to Latin America? To understand this problem, we need to take a look at Latin America specifically and its brutally racist past, and how they still celebrate it to the present. Take Brazil, for example. There's a town down there called Santa Barbara do Oeste. For the last 40 years, they've had an annual festival in which they bring out Confederate flags and dress up in Civil War attire and cosplay as being Confederates for a day. And why do they engage in this bizarre ritual? Because following their defeat in the Civil War, thousands of Confederates went to Brazil. even forcing hundreds of black people that they had enslaved to be their prisoners there until 1888, when Brazil finally got around to abolishing slavery. And these Brazilian Confederates celebrate that every single year. On a side note, next time some white supremacist tries to tell you that the Confederacy was about states' rights, it wasn't about no slavery, you remind them of this. Thousands of unreconstructed Confederates went to South America. And when they got there, what's the first thing that they did? All right, let's get this slavery thing going again. Yeah, it was all about slavery in any country they went to. And Latin America's longstanding tradition of colorism and racial segregation made it a magnet for white supremacists all over the world. There's a reason that the Nazis fled to Latin America after World War II. And it wasn't just Argentina they went to. They went to places like Peru, Chile, and others because of the blatantly white supremacist regimes that have run things down there and are still in charge today. You look at the political changes that have happened in Latin America in the last 20 years, and they've been all about race. In Venezuela, you had Hugo Chavez, who fought to break the stranglehold of the Blanco ruling class in that country. Venezuela's Blanco elites had been impoverishing their own citizens for centuries. And when Chavez came along, they made it clear they understood him to be a black man. Chavez himself confirmed as much. The Blanco elites in Latin America have frozen their nations in time. Well, at least in Venezuela, the ice began to thaw when Hugo Chavez was elected. The United States, seeing that their white supremacist stronghold down there had fallen, funded and organized a coup to oust Chavez. And don't let the white media water down the facts. The CIA didn't just know about the Venezuelan coup, they were the ones behind it. And the Venezuela coup plotters' very first act upon seizing control of the government was to announce that they were abolishing the Venezuelan Congress, the Venezuelan Supreme Court, and they even abolished its constitution. They were getting rid of every branch of government that could have opposed them, and even the nation's laws. That meant that the coup had established that the only government in Venezuela was the presidency, which they had control of. That was an autocratic government that seized control of a democratic nation. Though you wouldn't have known it by how the US reacted, here was an undeniable case of an autocratic regime taking over a country, and the US was fine with it. But what the US didn't like was that Chavez's support from the Venezuelan people was so overwhelming that the military, who were loyal to him since he had been a soldier too, they went and rescued him from the island where he had been imprisoned, and they restored him to office. And as for the Blanco coup plotters, now they were the ones forced into exile. And where did they go? Straight to the United States, who had nothing to do with the coup, mind you. Then Hugo Chavez died under mysterious circumstances. He suddenly got a case of cancer. By the way, I don't believe that. I think the US pulled a Vladimir Putin and used some sort of radioactive poison to kill him, but still, the Chavista revolution wasn't so easily defeated.
The same thing that happened to Nasser Arafat. Cancer is the go-to thing when they want to get rid of somebody with medical assassination.
Maduro was Chavez's hand-picked successor, and the U.S. has been trying to overthrow him ever since, using the old playbook of calling him an undemocratic regime, etc. But Maduro is still there, and so long as he's in office, the Blanco ruling class cannot come back to power. And the same thing happened in Bolivia. Evo Morales was an indigenous labor leader who clearly isn't white, but he beat the Blanco candidate to become president of Bolivia multiple times. And then he became the target of a coup as well, which clearly the U.S. was not behind, because the U.S. couldn't wait to recognize the Blanco woman who was installed to usurp him. Janine Áñez is a dyed-in-the-wool obnoxious racist, basically a female version of Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro. Speaking of Bolsonaro, he played on Latin America's obsession with race to gain power, but it was only because of former President Lula da Silva's massive popularity that Bolsonaro was eventually voted out. Race is at the center of it all. White supremacists hate that black people point this out because they know it's the truth. When we point out anti-black racism outside the U.S., the racists immediately start howling, "You can't apply American racial dynamics to other countries." Actually, we can. From celebrating the Confederacy to attacking political candidates simply for being black, it's exactly the same. Not because we say so, but because the anti-black racists in these foreign countries say so. So we cannot separate the deeply ingrained and flagrant anti-Black racism of Latin America from the behavior of an Enrique Tarrio or a Mauricio Garcia. It is not some victimless crime to play footsie with white supremacy, though in the case of Enrique Tarrio and others, they've gone from flirting to consummating the relationship.
I wonder how Enrique Tarrio feel now that he have to do all that time in prison because of the insurrection at the Capitol building. I wonder if it's paying off for him. The white supremacist, trying to be the honorary wannabe white supremacist. Is it paying off Enrique Tarrio?
Relationship outright. Why is it that so many people from groups who are not white and certainly not Aryan go overboard to commit acts of violence in the name of white supremacy? Because they're auditioning for a position as members of the oppressor class. When you see these non-white white supremacists doing mass killings, that's them sending a message saying, you who over here, I'm one of you, see? And why mass violence in particular? Why?
They will go and try to prove time and time again that they are on the oppressor's side. And you say, if you were to say you're one of us, or try to give them the history of their people, they would deny it wholeheartedly because they want to be honorary white supremacists. That's what they want to be. Again, the American dream is to come here and become white. That's the American dream when they come over here looking for the American dream. And they push it as such in code. We just got to know the wordplay that they use.
Why is that always the go-to method that these white supremacists use to try to prove their white supremacist bona fides?
Absolutely, Tajas. Asylum is the code. Nephew's on point.
It's because for hundreds of years, this country has always made it clear that when these newcomers or these other groups who are non-Anglo or non-Caucasian or what have you, if they want to be accepted, then they have to show that they're on board with the racial hierarchy and helping to maintain it through violence. That's why I gave you the definition of white supremacy the other day. The absolute control of society using physical, economic, political, and social violence. And that's the pattern that's played itself out for at least the last 150 years. The Irish came to this country and had signs that said no dogs are Irish allowed. But as soon as the draft riots occurred and they started beating black people in the streets, those signs started coming down. Italian immigrants came to the US and were called all manner of racial slurs. But when they wanted acceptance from the dominant society, they began attacking black people, and all of a sudden they got honorary white status. And the same pattern continued with immigrants from Asian countries, as we've seen with Dinesh D'Souza, Amy Chua, Michelle Malkin, and others. And that also includes the immigrants who have come from south of the border. Black people have pointed this out for decades. After the LA City Council race scandal broke, people couldn't ignore it anymore, but they didn't do anything to fix it either. There were some people who were holding hands, and we immediately saw declarations that the racial divide had been healed. But nobody is fooled. This is sweeping the problem under the rug again, and it won't work. And now that the problem has manifested itself in a way so grotesque that it simply can't be wallpapered over this time, does anyone think that the white media who's ignored this issue until now will suddenly start to look at the big picture and say maybe we need to talk about it? Will they look at the Enrique Tarrios, the Stuart Rhodes, the Nick Fuentes's, the Mauricio Garcias, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes, and ask why so many Latinos want to be white supremacists themselves? Or will the white media try to wait this one out and see if it goes away with the next news cycle or the next mass shooting? My money is on the latter.
What they fail to realize is that they're usable, but you would never become one of them. They would use you like they would use any one of us to push their doctrine and push their narrative. They can't say it on the news, so they find a handkerchief head Negro like Brandon Tatum, like Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock and others to come on the news program or whatever program and push their agenda. They can't say it because we'll call them out on it. So to make them not look racist, they'll find some Negro who's willing to serve to their detriment to come on their platform and do it.
Good day and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our.
Now I'm going to go to former County Sheriff Alex Villanueva, who his tenure as a sheriff in LA had a white supremacist gang in the LA County Sheriff, the executioners, and guess who they were targeting? I know this brilliant chat know who they were targeting.
Good afternoon, I'm Glenn Walker.
And I'm Lou Parker. Moment years in the making today as former LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva testifies under oath about alleged deputy gangs.
KTLA 5's Kimberly Chang is in the Westlake District with details from today's hearing.
After being subpoenaed several times, the former sheriff agreed to testify. He was on the stand for several hours.
You haven't always told the truth to the public about deputy gang.
He's going to testify? No. He's going to go in and test the lie and see if it works.
Cliques and subgroups in the sheriff's department, have you, sir?
False.
During a special hearing by the LA County Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission, the exchanges between the special counsel Bert Deixler and former Sheriff Alex Villanueva became heated at points.
You want to know the truth?
Yeah, that's why we're here. We want to know the truth. It's no secret he was a member of the Cavemen, is it?
Here, there's no secret there are subgroups within the sheriff's department. Just like it's no secret there are subgroups in the NYPD, the LAPD.
You know, when somebody say you want to know the truth, that means they're about to lie. If you were sworn in and you took an oath to tell the truth, we want the damn truth. What you think you were called in for? And this is the people who they hire and elect as a damn sheriff of a large county in California.
The LAFD, any large paramilitary organization. They exist everywhere, and they will always exist because that is human nature to socialize.
So
now, when we go from that to try to describe them as being a gang, well, you're missing the key element, which is misconduct.
The commission is investigating decades-long claims of deputy gangs within the LA County Sheriff's Department. Deixler asked Villanueva about his knowledge of cliques called cavemen, banditos, and executioners, and about alleged members with branded tattoos and clothing. When Undersheriff Tim Murakami's name came up, Villanueva defended him.
Lots of people knew at the time that Undersheriff Murakami was a member of the Cavemen. Isn't that true?
It is false.
Nobody knew. It was a surprise when first you learned?
It is false. As your question is framed, it is false.
Okay, tell me when you learned he was a member of the Cavemen.
Again, that's like the question, when did you stop beating your wife? That's a false statement, a false question. What misconduct Mr. Murakami was engaged in a 43-year career?
I promise you, sir, when we get to that.
Deixler also asked Villanueva about an LA Times article describing a 2022 incident involving tattooed deputies who allegedly beat up teenagers.
Accepting for the moment as true the article which describes the behavior, would you agree that's the behavior of a deputy gang?
No.
Why is the flashing of a gun, taunting of people by tattooed deputies, in your judgment, not?
What's crazy about it, all the executioners gang in the LA County Sheriff have matching tattoos. And they have to, or they have an initiation that they have to either, they have to harm somebody and not just beat them. They have to harm somebody close to death or death. That's the initiation. And they go through that initiation and they get their matching tattoo. And he's standing here trying to cop-splain it away when it's records that this goes on. And not only that, they had whistleblowers who went and that's why he's in court now, because of whistleblowers.
Not the activity of a deputy gang.
That is misconduct by deputies on a social event outside of the scope of work.
Today's special hearing is part of the commission's ongoing effort to gather testimony. They're expected to provide a supplemental report on the issue. Reporting in Westlake, Kimberly Chang, KTLA 5 News.
And then we're gonna go to a video where this numbskull is saying that LA County gangs do not exist within the sheriff's department.
Now is former LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva. You endured 4 hours of questioning. We have a few more minutes of questioning tonight. Thanks for taking the time out and being here tonight.
Sure, my pleasure.
Okay, first, let's start by getting your reaction to what you just heard in Susan's reporting there for those two who allegedly had family members who they say died or were hurt because of deputy gang violence.
Those people had lawsuits. They lost their lawsuits. Then every death is a tragedy, either a murder or at the hands of law enforcement in a deputy-involved shooting.
Of course, if the police investigate themselves, they are going to find no wrongdoing, especially in the most corrupt police department in the whole country, at least one of the most corrupt. There's three. There's Chicago, there's New York, and there's LA. So if they investigate themselves, of course they're going to find no wrongdoing. And not only that, we can't go to somebody's brother and expect them to do something about their behavior. Not going to happen.
There's no way around that. However, when they present false information, they lose their cases in court. In fact, almost every witness that the Oversight Commission put forward has a lawsuit against the department or lost a lawsuit. And that is almost the totality of all of their witnesses. So you're looking at a very warped view of the world. And the entire thing was an exercise in electioneering, so I can put it that way.
Well, let me ask you, because you didn't have to testify. You have not. And now that you are a private citizen, let's keep in mind you're still running for public office. Why now?
Well, the only reason that they were going to, because they learned they lost their case.
Yes, sir, Brother Kyrie.
The subpoena issue. Everything they said about subpoenas, oh, he's defying them, he's resisting. No, we were following the proper protocol. And if we had a question, we went to court to clarify the question. Oversight was using their subpoena power as a way to engage in electioneering, influence the 22 elections. I put myself on the ballot in 24, and here we are again with, oh, we're going to subpoena you again now. But why didn't they subpoena Luna? Why didn't they subpoena McDonald? He has something to say. He was sheriff for 4 years when all these issues were there. Why just me?
Well, you said that today, and their response was, the attorney's response was that today was you were the focus, and that they would potentially be calling Luna and the former sheriff prior to you, McDonald. Did today help you, keeping in mind that you are seeking a board seat?
I think it dispelled a lot of rumors, a lot of false information that the Oversight Commission, the Board of Supervisors was trying to put out there. And they understand, one, I've never been a member of any subgroup. I don't have tattoos. And the fact is that subgroups are not criminal gangs, as they're trying to sell the idea falsely to the public. In fact, they accuse my undersheriff of being a gang member, 43 years serving the county, yet when the undersheriff of Luna has a tattoo from a subgroup at Temple Station, well, we don't want to ask that question. Well, wait a minute. It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Well, you say that deputy gangs don't exist. You say that deputy subgroups do.
Yes.
But with all due respect, in the general public, when they hear deputy subgroups,
The same damn
they think
thing.
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
So, and you said today that knowing that, keeping that in mind, when you decided to promote somebody, you wouldn't ask if they were part of a deputy subgroup. Why not?
Because very simple, the history of the department going back decades, people have had tattoos at stations. It does not make them a member of a criminal entity. It does not give me the authority as
Just
an
clicking and
employer to
ranking
ask them
file.
if they have
Stop
a
it.
tattoo on their body and decide whether I'm going to give them a promotion or not. In fact, that would be unconstitutional. And yet they're pushing this false
Not
narrative and
at all
expecting that somehow they want to strip down deputies and see their tattoos and decide whether or not to fire them. I mean, this is pretty outrageous. And then people wonder why no one wants to be a cop anymore.
So let's talk more about your running for the Board of Supervisors. Why do you want to be on the board that you have been at odds with throughout your sheriff's tenure and continue to be?
Great question. Real simple, because the public cares about homelessness. They care about crime. They care about public corruption. And the Board of Supervisors represents those things. And the only way you can fix it is actually being part of change. And the incumbent that I'm running against, she is literally the status quo that has failed miserably. And all you got to do is walk out your door, go to the local store, and experience what life is in Los Angeles County.
Will you be amicable if you're on the board with those you've been at odds with?
If they're doing the right thing for the right reason, I'll be more than happy to work shoulder to shoulder with them. If they're going to do corrupt acts, I will expose them and they will know it immediately.
Do you regret testifying today?
Not at all. And I'll do it again.
Well, big news today. After your testimony, we get this announcement from LAPD Chief Michael Moore that he is going to retire at the end of February. You know, he talked about his need to be with his family, but of course you think about the weight of leading a law enforcement agency. You've done that. Do you think that that weighed into his decision? What are your thoughts on his announcement?
Well, I think he's right on the money. It's timely. There's a time to move on to a new generation of leadership. And so we just hope and pray that the city hall leadership does the right thing, picks someone who can competently lead the LAPD, someone who has the experience and the credibility to lead the organization, and that we're not going to check off boxes like has been the habit in many organizations, and then that experiment fails.
Okay. Well, again, you had quite the day, 4 hours of testifying. You agreed to come back in March, so we will be talking to you then. Thank you for coming in tonight, former Sheriff Alex Villanueva.
All right, you got it.
We have more of former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Just give an example.
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva has been named in a new lawsuit against the department.
He's being accused of civil rights violations and retaliation. KCAL 9's Joy Benedict has more details.
It is another lawsuit with strong allegations against the LA County Sheriff's Office and naming specifically Sheriff Alex Villanueva. And this time, the plaintiff, a lieutenant in the department.
This has happened over and over again, and nobody was holding the sheriff accountable for his conduct.
Attorney Vincent Miller filed the paperwork in LA County Superior Court on Monday, saying his client, Lieutenant Joseph Garrido, had his civil rights violated and was retaliated against for being a whistleblower.
And he had his latest promotion reversed. It was taken away from him by Sheriff Villanueva. Then they subjected him to a fake criminal investigation.
Garrido is a 31-year veteran of the department, working in the Special Enforcement Bureau, overseeing the K-9 department. His attorney says in the fall of 2020, a department dog named Spike died in a hot car. He wanted an investigation, and the incident was swept under the rug.
In the sheriff's department, they completely covered up the death of Spike. This is a painful death of overheating in a car. And he's not just a dog. Spike is a cop, helping find evidence and take the bad guys to jail.
The lawsuit also claims the sheriff and his inner circle retaliated against Garrido for supporting an opponent of the sheriff during the election.
The sheriff, of course, retaliated against my client simply because he was exercising his free speech rights, because he gave money to a rival candidate for sheriff. That's illegal to retaliate against someone for exercising their free speech right.
Garrido is currently out on leave. As his attorney says, he is no longer able to work in this environment. They are seeking financial damages. But most importantly, Miller says there have been 24 similar claims filed against Sheriff Alex Villanueva, and his retaliation of employees must stop.
We've seen this over and over again with Sheriff Villanueva retaliating against whistleblowers.
The lawsuit was filed against Los Angeles County, the sheriff, and several members of the department. We did reach out to the LA County Sheriff's Department for a comment, but they say they do not speak on pending litigation. Joy Benedict, KCAL 9 News.
So many examples of non-white, white supremacists. So many examples we can give. Oh, they want to mess with the stream now, huh?
Peace officers, it is our duty to preserve personal credibility, integrity, and not bring discredit to the profession while serving our communities, both on and off duty. This is accomplished in part through professionalism and maintaining positive relationships with our community members. The appearance of membership in cliques or subgroups has had a negative impact on our department's mission and created a negative public perception. This has undermined trust and increased the risk of civil liability. In February of 2020, I approved a department policy which prohibited employees from
See,
participating.
this is an outright lie, civil liability, because when the police department are sued and the victim wins, the money doesn't come out of their budget. It comes out of the people's budget, taxpayers' budget. See, the way to nip this in the bud and have them give a damn that if somebody gets sued for, just say $20 million, $30 million, if it comes out the police budget, I'm telling you, the police rank and file would be very critical, and they would nip that in the bud. They don't care, because if you win a lawsuit against them, it doesn't come out their pocket. It come out our pocket. The same person that's suing the cop, that money comes out of his pocket in conjunction with everybody else that's in that municipality. So he's saying civil liability and trust and all this other foolishness that he's running down. This is nothing but a publicity stunt anyway, because he could care less. First, he's on his way out from being he's going to be a civilian now, probably run for another office. Yet he messed his whole credibility up, as far as I'm concerned, being charged with any type of office. They would have to be fools in California to vote him in as head fry person at McDonald's.
In any clique or subgroup promoting conduct which violated the rights of other employees or members of the public.
Employee groups which violate rights of other employees or members of the public. Department personnel shall not participate or join in any group of department employees which promotes conduct that violates the rights of other employees or members of the public. Participation in these illicit groups, herein referred to as deputy cliques or subgroups, which often include an associated symbol and/or tattoo, harms morale and erodes public trust. These groups undermine the department's goals and can create a negative public perception of the department, increasing the risk of civil liability to the department and involved personnel. Any employee engaging in misconduct of any kind, including but not limited to the use of excessive force or mistreating or harassing others, will be subject to discipline. If the misconduct involves criminal allegations, the matter may be referred to the district attorney's office for possible prosecution. All personnel will be held accountable for this policy. Failure to adhere to this policy may subject violators to discipline.
I want to provide clarity so every employee unmistakably understands. Any employee who aligns with a clique or subgroup which engages in any form of misconduct will be held accountable. I do not want you joining these alleged cliques anymore, period. This is a zero tolerance issue. So those who may have joined these cliques in the past, times have changed and you need to change with them. We cannot go back in time and undo those decisions. But moving forward, we want to better align ourselves with the public's expectations. This is what changed.
This guy is so non-believable. You can actually tell that he is lying and he's reading from a teleprompter. He's an outright liar. He was the head of the executioners gang, and it was proven, but he's saying that people, when they was giving their testimony of what happened to them, were lying.
Change in the culture of our organization looks like. From here on out, if anyone feels the need to join, participate in, or solicit others to join any non-approved department sanctioned group, that is unacceptable. Any action we can do to separate ourselves from the perception of these alleged cliques and their association with our department
is how we must move forward. I recognize County Council has provided a legal opinion indicating there are certain First and Fourth Amendment constitutional issues brought into question when the department takes unwarranted administrative action against individuals with similar tattoos or associations with cliques or subgroups. Contrary to department critics, I have seen no evidence of 3 or more deputies engaging in a criminal activity with a unifying symbol whose primary purpose is to commit crime. The overwhelming majority of deputies who socialize with each other are no different than any other social group in military organizations, sports teams.
Have your rank and file, when you go in and do the comp stat, have them roll their sleeves up and show you their matching tattoos. Do that.
College fraternities, or even those that unite for a common cause. Tattoos are very common, and their presence is not evidence of any sinister purpose, absent evidence of associative misconduct. Claims of criminal conduct from trial and defense attorneys must be viewed in their proper context. Notwithstanding, all employees are advised to avoid joining cliques and subgroups. It has become clear the community feels department members who associate in these subgroups are wrong in doing so. This issue has driven a wedge between our department and the public we serve. This wedge can serve to delegitimize our department in the eyes of some. Without public trust, we are ineffective in the courageous and difficult work we perform each day. Never lose focus of this fact. We exist to serve others and their needs, not our own.
Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Nobody believed that. Now we're going to go to an incident that happened years ago. This showed the perception that the non-whites who are white supremacists, the perception that they have up on us. Now, going back to Philando Castile, Officer Yanez wasn't at the car for a minute before he was shooting in that car, killing that brother right in front of his woman and the child. All because the man said that he had a gun. He didn't have to tell Yanez that he had a gun, but he was a law-abiding citizen. He had a license for that gun. It's an open carry state. But when you hear gun, black man, those are supposed to be separated by a long distance. So when anybody that's not us hear gun and black man, they panic. And some of our people, if a brother gets killed or a sister get killed for merely having a damn gun, we'll say, well, he did have a gun. So what? A lot of these cats walk around with AR-15 strapped to them, just walking around. They'll have an AR-15 strapped to them. They have a sidearm and then something on their ankle. We don't say nothing about that, but in our subconscious mind, some of us consciously, we're so sick in our belief that we're not supposed to arm ourselves. We're so sick, and some of us subconsciously are white supremacists because we think their way is the right way.
It took just seconds for a routine traffic stop to turn deadly. And today, graphic video of the encounter was made public just a few days after a Minnesota police officer was found not guilty of manslaughter. Mireya Villarreal reports.
The newly released dashcam video shows the moment when Officer Geronimo Yanez stopped Philando Castile for a broken taillight last July, first asking Castile for his license and registration.
I have to tell you, I do have a firearm on me. Don't reach for it then. Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out.
Within 90 seconds of making the stop, the 29-year-old officer fired 7 shots. Castile's girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, was in the passenger seat. She streamed the immediate aftermath on Facebook Live.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out. You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead. Please don't tell.
Look, can you hear the panic in this guy's voice? It's like they hire such cowards to so-called serve and protect that fast. He told the man he had a firearm, which was a mistake. It was a mistake. It's not excusing Yanez, but you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And especially when you know how much of a coward these devils are. And he asked the man for his credentials. And when he reached for his credentials, he totally forgot that he asked the man for a credential because he heard gun coming out of black man's mouth. And he straight up panicked and became the murderer he is and killed the brother.
Don't tell me my boyfriend just went like that.
Keep your hands where they are, please.
Yes, I will, sir. I'll keep my hands where they are.
As Officer Yanez continued to point his weapon at Castile, you can see an officer coax and pick up Reynolds' then 4-year-old daughter, who was in the back seat during the shooting. Yanez was quickly suspended from the St. Anthony, Minnesota Police Department and soon indicted for manslaughter. During the trial, Yanez said he feared for his life and thought Castile, a 32-year-old school cafeteria worker, was pulling out a gun he was licensed to carry. Friday, the jury acquitted Yanez of all charges. Valerie Castile is Philando's mother.
That's, a miscarriage of justice. And that's the narrative of what happens. And our lives are not valued. That's why I tell our people to value your own life. If you know that it's about to go down, value your life. Don't value that person's life more than yours. Do what you got to do and just be judged for what you did. That's it. Just be judged for what you did, but don't value their life over yours because you only got one, as far as I know anyway. I don't remember being dead and coming back. I don't.
Born one son had here in Minnesota. Under the circumstances, just because he was a police officer, that makes it okay. Oh, now they got free reign. He's found innocent on all counts.
Castile family members were reportedly stunned when they saw the video during the trial. And Anthony, according to their attorney, they are planning to file a lawsuit against the city as well as the police department here.
Maria, thanks.
One more video of this, Philando Castile. Then we're going to go to handkerchief head Negroes.
Stephen A. said that every black person in America should vote Republican for at least.
We begin tonight with that chilling piece of video live streamed on Facebook in the moments after a man is shot by police. His girlfriend in the car pulling out her phone and then capturing the moments right after. Her exchange with the police officer, now seen by millions across this country. The pictures coming in now here in New York City of protesters gathering near Union Square. And just a short time ago, the governor of Minnesota asking, would this have happened if those passengers were white? He said, I don't think so. We begin with ABC's Gio Benitez in Minnesota.
Stay with me.
This is Diamond Reynolds streaming live on Facebook from her cell phone, just moments after her boyfriend, Philando Castile, was shot by police during a traffic stop over what she says was a broken taillight. She says Castile told the officer he was carrying a licensed gun.
He's licensed to carry. He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out his pocket, and he let the officer know that he had a firearm and he was reaching for his wallet, and the officer just shot him in his arm.
The police officer.
They will tell you to get your credential, and when you reach for it, they'll shoot you and justify it. The go-to thing is I was afraid for my life. That's the go-to narrative. I was afraid for my life. You're afraid for your life. You have a belt full of weapons. There's nothing on your belt preserve life. It's all to take life or at least harm a person, everything on your belts to do that. Either to kidnap them by restraining them with cuffs, shocking the shit out them, or outright ending their life. There's nothing on the belt to preserve life. So to protect and serve, I never bought that shit.
Officer pointing his gun into the car. Reynolds calm and clear.
Respect to Black Panther, Jackie Brown. Thanks, sis. Thanks for tapping in. Thank you to the family. Peace, Equator 7. How you been?
Her young daughter in the back seat.
Waiting for a back. I will, sir. No worries. I will. He just shot his arm off. We got pulled over on LARPing.
And still got the gun pointed at him.
I told him to get his hand out.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead. Please don't tell me my
What a total fucking punk. He's a straight up punk.
boyfriend just went like that.
Keep your hands where they are, please.
Yes, I will, sir. I'll keep my hands where they are. Where's my daughter? You got my daughter?
Then officers, guns drawn, order Reynolds out of the car.
Get on your knees. Get on your knees.
Now on the ground, she never stops live streaming.
They threw my phone, Facebook.
Police perform CPR on Castile on the street. Reynolds now detained in a patrol car, her cell phone still recording.
I don't know if he's okay or if he's not okay.
Her daughter still with her. Reynolds finally breaks down.
I can't really do because they got me handcuffed. It's okay, Mommy. I can't believe they just did this.
It's okay. I'm right here with you.
Wow.
Philando Castile, a supervisor at a school cafeteria where kids loved him, was taken to the hospital and died. Diamond Reynolds says she was held by police until 5 o'clock this morning.
This is where the shooting happened. I'm told it's usually a quiet neighborhood. People have been gathering here since the incident. And just take a look at what they're posting. Film the police.
Reynolds today explaining why she did just that.
I didn't do it for pity. I didn't do it for fame. I did it so that the world knows that these police are not here to protect and serve us. They are here to assassinate us. They are here to kill us because we are Black.
Later, she got a face-to-face apology from Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton.
I can't tell you how sorry I am. The terrible tragedy was enforced on you and on your family.
I don't want you guys to be sorry. I want y'all to be more careful.
We want justice.
And late today, this statement from the governor.
Would this have happened if those passengers, the driver and the passenger were white? I don't think it would have. This kind of racism exists.
And Gio Benitez is with us from St. Paul, Minnesota tonight. And Gio, what do we know about the police officer at the center of the case?
Well, David, that officer has not yet been identified, but we know that he's on paid leave at home, and investigators did speak with him this afternoon. David.
Gio Benitez leading us off tonight. Thank you, Gio.
He's an outright coward. He's a coward. I had to find my playlist again because this it went to another playlist. I don't know how that happened, but I had to find my other playlist to go to the other videos that I had. Now here we go. Right here is where I want to go.
Stephen A. said that every Black person in America should vote Republican for at least one election. Stephen A. Smith is joining me now. Stephen, who are you trying to send a message to? Republicans, Democrats, African Americans, all of the above?
I'd go with all of the above. That sounds about right, but specifically the Democratic Party from the standpoint that I definitely believe that the Black vote has been taken for granted. And primarily the Black community is at fault in my estimation in that regard, simply because on one hand, we're giving one part.
you can't blame us for nothing. We can blame us afterwards if we continue to vote for these people. Then you can blame us. But if somebody come around and they say they're going to do something, if we vote for them, then they don't. No, that's somebody who's not keeping their word with us. But if he's telling us that we should vote one party over the other, he's full of shit. And first, he can't speak for us, for he's in a certain tax bracket that regardless of who is the president, it's not going to affect him, because this is a man who say he get up in the morning to see how much money he's going to make his damn boss. He actually said this out his mouth. How much money I'm going to make my boss, and then I'm going to find out how much can I get of it. No. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. So you're thinking about how much money you're going to make him as opposed to yourself? You're a damn Negro.
Party our vote because they've successfully gone about the business of convincing our community that the other party, the Republican Party, is completely against the interest of the Black community. And as a result, we've been very transparent in our support. We've boarded hook, line, and sinker. We look at the Republican Party. I'm not talking about every single one of us, of course, but vast majority of Black Americans look at the Republican Party as the enemy. We look at the Democratic Party, even tacitly, as our support base. And as a result, we are very transparent in our support for them. So because of it, they have a license to take us for granted. The Republican Party has a license to summarily dismiss us because they believe they'll never get our vote anyway. And then we end up finding ourselves devoid of any kind of representation whatsoever because nobody is really competing to garner our vote and our support. So I said what I said because I wanted folks in my community to stand up and recognize that if you go to a house or you go buy a car or whatever the case may be, you don't just see something you want and say, I want that. Tell me what the price is and I'll pay for it. Somebody has to flatter you in order to garner your dollars and your support. I think the same should apply to politicians who represent us.
Let me put this in the context of 2016, because I think given the monolithic nature of the African-American vote, a lot of Republicans don't even make the ask. Rand Paul is making the ask. Is there anything that he can say that you think can change this equation?
Well, first of all, he can highlight some of the inconsistencies and discrepancies the opposing party might be throwing in our direction, things that we may not know. That's number one. Number two, one of the things that you need to do as a Republican, particularly if you're running for the presidency, you have to surround yourself with a bunch of folks that look like us and not just you, that look like Hispanics and not just you.
What a damn clown. Now we're going to go to a self-hating Negro who put on the cape. He goes into the phone booth, put on the cape for them.
Black people were offended by that. This is why I think people are just mentally ill that are pushing the racist thing. The myth of racism in America is a complete lie. Do you know the kid that's yelling?
He said racism in the United States is a myth. See, these type of Negroes are dangerous to themselves and all of us. Now, a few years ago, there was a police apologist, a police supporter who did the same thing this fool does. Mind you, this guy used to be a cop in Tucson. He was a cop probably like 5-6 years, but he claims he's an expert and he's talking about somebody being mentally ill when he hasn't been on the force since Donald Trump's election, but he's still going around calling himself officer when he quit the force to join some type of conservative constituent. Yet he claims he used to be, pro-Black. And when he said he used to be pro-Black, he used every stereotype that the average ignorant ass white man would use on somebody who they feel come from the hood. He said, I have thug life tattooed on my stomach. I had tattoos. I have gold teeth. I sag my pants. That's what he used as an example of being pro-Black. this Negro, Brandon Tatum. And I've always been pro-black. I never sagged my pants. I have tats, but I don't have no thug life or none of that on me. Never sagged my pants. Never did none of the foolishness that this dude said that he did to show his pro-blackness. He don't even know what pro-black is. He think his ignorance is pro-black, or being a damn fool walking around being a walking stereotype is being pro-black. But listen to this idiot.
Get back to the projects is paying to watch a game essentially where the kids that he's talking about are on full scholarship.
Bad faith actor and noted grifter Officer Brandon Tatum gave his take on this.
You guys are all back to the project.
The video of Alabama fans espousing racial slurs and bigotry at Texas players.
Going back to the kid yelling at the black kids. He sounded like a white guy. He was off camera, but he sounded white. And then he was yelling at these black kids. He yelling at a person that got more privilege than he do.
Nonsense. And his fans despised it thus.
Now I have to respond. People are criticizing.
How is a child, still a child in college, child to me? And because he's in college, that means he have more privilege than a person that was yelling racial epithets at him. And because it was called out, he's dealing with why it was called out. Calling somebody out on their racism doesn't make you a somebody who is a using victimhood for everything. No, you're calling somebody out on what they're doing. That's exactly what it is and nothing else.
Criticizing me for my take on the Alabama fans yelling at the Texas players.
For yelling racist and homophobic slurs at the players. And people are criticizing you because your take was horrible.
When he uploaded a second video, Coach D Speaks fact-checked him.
You know, I just can't stand people with their victim mentality.
Calling out racism is not a victim mentality. That is the racist right-wing talking point to try and keep us from calling out racism.
And he would run circles around Tatum.
It's called talking trash. They want to say anything they can to offend the players on the field.
So as long as they qualify it as talking trash, anything goes. They can say anything they want. It's just talking trash. Come on, dude. You cannot be this ignorant.
Allow me to interject. He is this ignorant by design. He knows how much being ignorant has benefited him, not just for clout, but also personal gain.
How are they fans of the Alabama football team when every player on the Alabama football team is black?
Dude, this is literally the I have a black friend argument. Just like Republicans expect you to stay in place, those fans expect those black athletes to stay in place. And the second they don't feel like they do, they show their, just like the people in your comments do when you step out of place.
It's called banter, ladies and gentlemen.
Get this man a hat, a cane, and blackface and call it a day, because there ain't nobody tap dancing like him. Period.
Whenever I see Officer Tatum on the TL, I automatically, by default, think of this clip from Roland Martin's show.
Trust me, the white conservatives are sitting there loving it. See, if you want to know how to game, just go to Brandon's YouTube channel. His videos, they show you'll see. Giving that money, giving that money, giving that money, and that's what I'm trying to explain to people. When
the crazy part about this numbskull Brandon Tatum is he probably got about 4 million subscribers on this YouTube channel, and I did a stream on him years ago, and I was telling them that Brandon Tatum would do anything for personal gain, even serve to his own detriment for personal gain. And not only that, if you see who this guy is sweethearting with, you will understand it.
When we expose these folks for who they are, okay, I know a whole bunch of black conservatives who are third and fourth and fifth generation black Republicans. These folks are Trump grifters.
Martin, earlier in the segment, showed this clip that we simply cannot play because of all the cuss words. It showed Tatum disagreeing with his fellow conservatives on how he covered Ahmaud Arbery's killing by white police officers. He would call his co-hosts fake and threaten to beat the blank out of them when they are in person. He would then quit the call. Martin would add of Tatum,
very close with Candace Owens, used to work with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, loves himself some Donald Trump.
Another example, when MAGA pastor Greg Locke said he didn't want a single Democrat in his church, this is what happened.
Nothing about standing up for truth. Now, do I agree, and I'm going to play the clip here in a second, do I agree with everything that Pastor Locke said? I think that what he said was exaggerated, in my opinion. However, I understand where he's coming from. Do I think you cannot...
Oh, yes, he's exaggerating, guys. No biggie, you know? But he understands where he's coming from. Yeah, if you literally vote a way in which I do not agree with, then you must leave my church, which is tax exempt. And also, I think you are a demon. That is certainly what I call a little exaggerated. Yep, Are you forgetting also that, like, not every Democrat is the same as, like, your terminally online, far left, woke scold, cancel culture, Antifa member?
And was fact-checked by Hunter Avalon as well.
Put it all for Democrats to be a Christian. It really depends, right? I mean, you're talking about national elections, or you're talking about local elections. If in a local election, a Democrat is a Christian and not pushing the LGBTQ stuff and all of those crazy stuff that's counterproductive to Christianity, then you can vote for that Democrat. But
look, he somehow managed to bring LGBT stuff into it. What do you know? So wait, you're fine with them teaching politics as far as if you vote a certain way, you have to leave, but you're not fine with them teaching other aspects of politics, like some people are different than you and you should be loving and respectful of people that are different than you, which is literally a Christian value.
I beg you, I implore you, watch this video.
If you look at the majority of the Democrat legislation or legislators, the House and Senate, if you look at what the Democrats are pushing, they are pushing anti-God rhetoric.
Like?
Anti-God rhetoric. Abortion.
Wait, why would you say legislation and then say anti-God rhetoric? This is what I mean is, like, what do you think is worse? A Democrat somewhere saying that they're not a Christian, which literally, where are they pushing anti-God rhetoric even? Can somebody give me like a direct example? Oh, yes, I remember when Joe Biden did that big speech at the church in which he said,
it's like this, whether the left wing or the right wing, they are on the same unclean and hateful bird. Left wing, right wing, same unclean and hateful bird flying in the same direction. The only difference between a Democrat and a Republican, I'll always say, it depends on how and where you want to be stabbed. A Republican will stab you in your chest and you can at least defend yourself because you will see it coming. But a Democrat will stab you in your damn back, but you are still stabbed. It depends on if you want to be stabbed in the front or if you want to be stabbed in the back. But the end result is somebody is trying to stab you. So I wouldn't wipe my ass with a damn politician. That would be desecration. To wipe my ass with a damn politician.
Said, mark my words, before my term is over, I will make sure to personally kill God. What are you talking about, dude? Second of all, do you realize that maybe you don't agree with that, but also it's bad for, and I can give you actual examples of Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert pushing forward the idea that Christian nationalism is actually A-okay, or that there should be no separation of church and state. Do you think that maybe that's like a bit of a problem, you know?
These people, they hate Christianity because it goes against their Marxist theology, their socialist theology,
their Marxist theology. Yes. Oh, somebody stop Biden, guys. He's basically Lenin right now. He doesn't even know what he's saying. God, man, I say this all the time, but conservatives, they would have such an easier time going through life if they just knew what words mean. That's it. Just like read a dictionary and you would be better off than like 95% of conservatives.
It's not only fantastic, but also shows the bad faith arguments Tatum routinely makes.
What an idiot. Want to take a I'm going to take a break, a promotion break really quick.
once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
To those of us who don't have my wife's book, Fire, you're missing out on a good read. Go to Amazon, go into books, put in Angela King James on Amazon. You can get it on paperback or Kindle. A very good read. And before the year is out, probably before the summer is out, Fire 2, the finale, will be available. Yet, if you want to understand what is going on with Fire 2, the finale, the best thing for you to do is get Fire, written by Angela King James. Go to Amazon, go to books, and put FYRE, Fire, and purchase the book. Before I end the stream, I'm going to put the, as a matter of fact, when I get to the comment section, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Now let's get back to the subject matter. Now we're going to go to how white supremacist groups radicalize new recruits.
From Charlottesville to Seattle to Houston, white nationalist rallies and protests are popping up all over the country more frequently. Some end in violent clashes, especially when the anti-fascists or Antifa show up to counter-protest. Others, like this one in Houston, were not violent because there were no counter-protesters there. The rallies are generally set up by white nationalists and are attended by neo-Nazis and white supremacists and racists and bigots, all of whom show up to try and make a point. They have one general reason for doing so. They want to recruit other white people to their cause. The image these racist groups are hoping to convey is, look, join us. This is normal. We want a white America, and that idea shouldn't be shunned, but embraced by this country. In other words, these groups want to be normalized. According to several of the organizations that track hate groups, the number of people joining these hate groups is up, as are hate-related incidents. They saw a spike, especially during the election cycle of 2016. Here are a few reasons for that. Now, part of the rise in the numbers of people knowing about this and maybe wanting to join has to do with the internet. It has to do with marketing, if you will. These groups are on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Reddit, they have their own websites. They are trying to get their message out any way they can, and it is working. In particular, they're looking to recruit young people, college students. There are flyers, for example, going up on campuses and other public spaces, trying to show them that this is the kind of America that they really do want to live in. In other words, the hoods are off and the button downs are in.
We've seen white supremacists try to recruit on college campuses for years. But what's different today is there has been a velocity and a volume of these efforts that we've really never seen before.
Now, I spent some time talking to a few of these neo-Nazis and some of the white nationalists and white supremacists who are trying to get their message out. White nationalist Jared Taylor, who sat down and talked with me, said that he wasn't a racist. On the other hand, he also told me that he believed that black people are, by their very nature, less intelligent than whites.
If whites do nothing,
they will be reduced to a minority in which their culture is a sideshow.
He says his online publication is more popular than it ever has been before. Then you have guys like Robert Ray, otherwise known as Asmodor. Now, he's a contributor to one of the most popular and disturbing neo-Nazi websites.
I hate the Jews because they are behind all of this. And they've been doing this for 2,000 years.
The neo-Nazi website that he writes for fully endorsed Donald Trump because the people behind the website believe that Donald Trump is with them. Why do they believe that? Because of his xenophobic language during the campaign, and also because of his mixed messages on what happened in Charlottesville.
And that's, I'm going to leave it here because I think I did enough to prove and show the examples of non-white white supremacists. Plenty of them. And they exist. And it's a mindset, a social construct, and a social behavior. And what's crazy about that, some of our people share that sentiment, serving to our detriment, their detriment and our detriment. The premiere of Tajas the Genius's new song, I'm gonna play that in another date because I had to transfer it from how it was sent to me in another way, so I can put it on my StreamYard so I can play it. But I was looking forward to playing it, but I didn't get a chance to transfer it from MP3. It was sent to me MP3, so I had to transfer it so I can put it on my StreamYard. But I'm going to play it my very next stream, and I'm letting you know it's fire. Outright fire. Peace to my brother Chris Cypher of the Smokers Lounge. Salute, good brother. Thanks for tapping in. I want to thank my brother Chris Cypher for tapping in. I want to thank my brother, my physical brother, Brother Kyrie of the Enemy's Public. I want to thank Black Panther, Jackie Brown, Equator 7, Kai Cole, been in the chat, giving some pertinent information out. I appreciate that. Keep coming through, and then you get modded up, especially when you're contributing like you've been doing in the chat. I appreciate it. Tajas a Genius, thanks for tapping in, bro. That's the family member. Thanks for tapping in. My brother Black Wild Indian, thank you for tapping in. Brown's Flat Power God, the sister true daughter of darkness. My brother Key Norfolk, thanks for tapping in. I appreciate it. The brother Big Dog Philly OG, thanks for tapping in. I appreciate it. I'm going to land my plane right here. And got more content coming. I've been doing a lot of research. I got the retrial of Organa. I'm going to be doing in the next week or so, the retrial of Organa. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did the trial of Organa. Organa is Negro spelled backwards. And the trial of Organa, he put our wicked, open, and consistent enemy on trial, and they was found guilty of, crimes against humanity, against our people. And I'm going to do the retrial of Organa, where I'm going to put the backwards-ass Negro on trial, serving to our detriment. These wannabe honorary white supremacists, I'm going to put them on trial. I'm going to have some prosecuting attorneys. I don't know if I can get anybody that's going to side with them, but I'm going to have some prosecuting attorneys. We're going to make our case. The brother Chris Cyphers, he always referred to him as the Negro Pens. So I'm going to put the they're the same people, the Negro Peons and the Negro. I'm going to call them Organa, the backwards Negro. We're going to put them on trial in the next few weeks. This is your brother Nasir. This is the Enemy's Public. Like, share. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Share the video. I thank you for coming through. Everybody, peace.
Whether you like it or you don't like it, you love it, you hate it, one thing for damn sure, you are gonna respect it.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
The once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
Always trust everyone to be themselves, but trust in the fact that you can see them well. I mean, so it's like, you know, trust. It takes too much energy to not trust someone. I mean, it takes too much energy. You always got to stay 2 steps ahead of them or whatever. Right. But trust them to be them.
Right. To be themselves.
Trust a snake to bite you. Trust a lion to laugh. Trust a thief to steal from you. Like, trust them to be them. But know them when you see them.